What is up and Happy New Year? It's Tom. We're going to do a Twins 5 today. I love this format just to gather some thoughts and throw a bunch of stuff against the wall and see what you think, covering some of the most recent news items. But first off, we're going to get to the guy above me. If you're wondering who the heck that is, he's going to be number 5. But first off, we're talking about Walker Jenkins there, because he's kind of a guy I think you can point to. If you're a Twins fan and you're feeling down, hey, I get it. One of the things I wrote this offseason in this zine that I wrote, a little DIY magazine thing, was a article right after the intro called "Why Do We Do This to Ourselves?" So I get it. If you're going through some stuff as a Twins fan right now, check this out. $3 plus $1 shipping and handling if you're interested in that. So I get that the vibes are down. I shared this morning. Like, if you are feeling hopeless, if you are really feeling down and you just can't get yourself excited about this team, I think the potential change in ownership is a reason to sort of, and I know we're kind of holding out that hope. Nothing's really happened. The Ishbia brothers are interested, but I don't have any updates beyond that to share with you. But that's a potential thing to be excited about. But also, the Twins are like sort of co-favorites in the AL Central at the moment. That might change as the offseason progresses. Still a lot that can change. But if you want to keep digging down, Walker Jenkins, man, this guy, MLB Pipeline picked him as their likely minor league hitter of the year for this upcoming season. I think he's going to debut late in the year, but this is a guy to be really excited about, and I don't think Twins fans really are thinking at all about Walker Jenkins. It doesn't feel to me like the Walker Jenkins hype train inside of Twins circles has really picked up steam, and I get it, he's very young. He just debuted in AA at the very end of this past season. So it's not like he's going to be potentially factoring in anytime early for the Twins, but I am expecting, as long as he stays healthy, that we are going to see him on the Minnesota Twins in 2025 this year. And I think he, as I said at the bottom there, could be a franchise-altering player. So don't forget about Walker Jenkins when you're kind of taking stock of your feelings about, this upcoming year or how you feel about this organization going forward. That's another one to hold on to, but let's talk about the Christmas present we got. As I wrote about at Twins Daily, Derek Falvey, he had to get us something. He was scrambling last minute. Mickey Gasper was what we got. And as a Christmas gift, it was a letdown. But this guy's interesting. Certainly somebody who I could see contributing to the Twins. He's on the 40-man roster. They acquired him from Boston for Giovanni Moran, who was kind of figuring to fit into the Twins' left-handed pitching picture out of the bullpen. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But as someone who's seen both the best and the worst of Giovanni Moran, both in the major leagues and the minor leagues, his problem is command. And coming back from Tommy John, that's usually the last thing to come back. Velocity actually comes back before command, typically, with guys recovering from Tommy John. So while I could see that coming back to bite the Twins, especially with how few left-handed pitchers they have, I do think, that is a risk that I'm willing to take. And I think there's a chance that Moran's command just never gets back to the point where he's a contributor, to be honest. We'll see. It could look bad if it goes the other way and he recaptures the best of himself. But Gasper is interesting. His biggest thing I highlighted at the bottom there is his batting line in the .392 career minor league OBP. And you see up top some even more impressive. In the minor leagues last season, he had a .440 OBP for Boston. Made his major league debut, didn't even get a hit in 23 plate appearances. So rough go of his major league debut, but it was a cup of coffee. He only played in 13 games. And then I want to call out, too, how does this guy fit in to the big picture? And I think that is it. He's an OBP guy. He's a bat. He's not a power bat, but he's a bat. And where does he fit in? As a bat. Yes, he catches. I don't know if he's, any more of a catcher than former Saint Chris Williams, who has left the org now, signed a minor league deal with another team. He was a guy who hit for power and caught some, but mostly didn't catch. Gasper is a guy who gets on base and catches some, but doesn't mostly catch. You see there down at the very bottom, I have a breakdown of his career minor league games, and he's played more first base than catching. A little bit of second base, a look at third base beyond that. But I think, this guy probably fits in best as like a third catcher, first base DH type. I don't think if the Twins trade Christian Vasquez, which we're going to talk about in a second here. I don't think that this guy is going to be who they lean on as like a number 2 catcher in like a timeshare. I think he's more of like an emergency / third catcher in that regard. So, that kind of limits his usefulness, I think, but we'll see. Again, OBP is great. Getting on base, drawing walks, that's outstanding. He had more walks than strikeouts in AAA last year. So, interesting player. We'll see how he fits in on the Twins on the 40-man roster, but has 3 options. So he doesn't have to be on the big league roster. They can put him in St. Paul and kind of figure out things from there. Number 3, trade expectations. I think I've talked about this, but it keeps coming up, and it keeps being things that I think is annoying to see as a Twins fan. All this speculation about Carlos Correa, Pablo Lopez, some baseball writers taking that speculation and running with it and building up some trade ideas out there. These are mostly, honestly, bored baseball writers looking for things to write about in the middle of winter. I'm not saying I can't envision the Twins possibly trading Pablo Lopez or Carlos Correa or another one of their big kind of key guys. But I don't. I just, it's really hard for me to envision. And I think if it happened, it would be not like a sell, not in that the Twins are just simply selling, getting rid of guys. Because again, if you're the poll ads, yes, you do have, you're probably not too motivated to spend money, and these guys are making a lot of money. But you do have the other element of, well, we want to make sure the team is at least somewhat marketable in the short term. Now, a new owner is going to be thinking long term. They're not going to care that much about what the immediate roster looks like. But I do think, if especially like thinking about the Ishbia brothers in particular, I think these guys that are sports owners because they want to have fun and they want to win and they want to, it seems like a fun side hobby for them. Like they've got enough money now. Let's spend it on some fun is what they seem to be, which is like my favorite type of owner. So in their case specifically, I don't think it would improve their odds of buying the Twins if you were to trade away a Pablo Lopez or a Carlos Correa. They would look at that and be like, man, we wouldn't have done that. Dang, I think they wouldn't like that. So. I don't think that the Twins are going to be motivated to move those guys. I don't think the Twins are going to be motivated to clear those salaries. We'll see how it comes out. That's not based off of any inside information. That's just me speculating, so we'll see how it turns out. But my main message there is when you see this stuff, try not to get bent out of shape. Because Derek Falvey's always said they'll listen on anybody. They'll listen on Walker Jenkins, So they'll listen on anybody. Don't get bent out of shape by seeing some of that speculation floating around. Now, spending expectations. I have not really even analyzed the free agent market. That's how not believing that the Twins are going to spend any money. We know the payroll limitations are there. I don't think, even if they're confident they will at one point trade Chris Paddock and or Christian Vasquez, I don't think they'll spend that money until it is locked in. Until that money is in hand, basically, and that you've moved Paddock and or Vasquez part of their contracts at least. I think it's a little difficult to envision their entire contracts getting traded, though you could maybe attach them with a prospect to make that happen. But I just don't see it. I don't see the Twins spending any money until there is money opened up. So I'm going to continue to not really analyze the free agent market or get too bent out of shape when anybody signs. I'm not, again, going back to sort of Twins fans' vibes right now, I'm not saying be happy with that or that that's okay, but it's sort of an expectations thing. If you get your expectations up, you're going to be disappointed. I am protecting myself in this way, saying that I don't think that they're going to spend $1 until they create space. And I don't think that's going to come from a Correa or a Lopez or that type. I think it is going to come more from guys in the fringes, and then they'll move from there. But that's my expectation there, that they're not going to spend until they've created payroll space. Once they do that, it sounds like they might have a target here. Kyle Hart, the KBO strikeout king last season, the Korean baseball organization, pitched for the NC Dinos. Left-handed pitcher, that's the biggest thing. And then the second biggest thing, 157 innings in 2024. So pretty easy to see, boom, boom, right there, why the Twins would be interested. This is a lefty who can throw a lot of innings. I wouldn't project him to be in the Twins rotation potentially if he signs, but in, maybe like a 6th, 7th starter type, giving depth to the rotation and being a potential multi-inning relief weapon as a lefty, which obviously the Twins need more lefties. So, he's 32, I believe. I'm not gassing you guys up on Kyle Hart right now. But, kind of similar to Mickey Gasper, he'd be another guy in the picture who kind of brings some interesting skills to the table. You see it there at the bottom. This is from The Athletic. Reports that the Yankees, Brewers, Twins, Astros, and Orioles are among the teams that have indicated interest. This is interesting, too, because along with Giovanni Moran being gone, Caleb Thielbar is not a fallback option for the Twins now either, because he signed a 1-year deal with the Cubs. So congratulations to him. Not too bent out of shape. He's like 38, 39. So it's a bit like Carlos Santana in that I would have liked him to come back. There's certainly a role for him if he came back, but I can't be too broken up that he's gone. He signed with the Cubs. Down at the bottom there is Kyle Hart's career numbers, though. So, getting back into that left-handed picture, Moran traded, Thielbar signed elsewhere. So taking a look at Hart as a potential lefty to bring in, you can see he's only thrown 11 innings in the majors. Again, the last season in the KBO was his only season in that league, 157 innings last year, but over 560 innings in the high minors. This is a guy who's pitched a lot against advanced hitting. It sounds, from the reading a little bit about him, it sounds like he's evolved quite a bit over the years, pitching so much in AAA, kind of trying to tinker with things and figure out how to get into the major leagues and stick, and then, had the idea of, hey, I've been in AAA long enough, let me go over to the KBO and see if I can do something new there. And again, led the league in strikeouts. I think he had like 11 strikeouts per 9 while not walking a lot of guys either. So, a guy who's evolved, a guy who has a lower release point, too, as a lefty, so you could definitely see him giving lefties fits in short bursts if you want to do that. Just kind of like a utility pitcher option. So I think he is interesting. You're not going to rush out and buy a Kyle Hart jersey if they sign him. Not a marketable guy. He's not the guy you're putting up on the banners at Target Field or anything. But an interesting piece, and it just feels nice to see an actual, tangible rumor that has the Twins linked to a player. Is this the first one we've actually had this? I think it is. The first actual reporting that the Twins are interested in a guy. But again, I'll put a link down in the description to the zine. Thanks for watching this one. I really appreciate you. We'll talk again soon.